Hi there, my name's Sarah Golding and I'm playing Zelda and Sheik in The Legend of Zelda The Return. I'm 27 and I live in Australia where I work as a doctor. But I grew up originally in between Texas in America and Geelong in Australia before I went to Melbourne for uni. I love to sing, love writing music, and more recently started doing a bit of musical theatre and acting. I began acting at uni, playing Laertes in Hamlet for the Shakespeare Society, and then when I went through medical school I was involved in the med reviews, producing and directing those for 3 or 4 years. I had my first pro-am musical theatre lead role in the musical Blood Brothers in 2011. And then went on to play Kate Monster in Avenue Q, Kate McGowan in Titanic, and then most recently I played Beth in Jeff Wayne's musical version of War of the Worlds. My character is obviously quite well known to a lot of people, and I suppose there's probably varying ideas out there of who she is as an individual, because she's somewhat, I guess, mysterious in most of the games and gets left a bit open to interpretation. But from my perspective, I see her as determined and, to some extent, a little bit omniscient. She always seems to know what's going on behind the scenes, but just has to balance a number of complex sort of leadership challenges and world crises with, what's going on in her personal life. What she isn't is your stereotypical Disney princess. She's sensible, commanding, intelligent. My interest in this role was, piqued by the content, I suppose. Doesn't every girl want to be a princess? But I suppose the most interesting part was also playing with a purely voice-based acting role, which I hadn't done before. The idea of having to convey emotion and thought with purely a sound medium is very interesting to me. It certainly is challenging for that exact reason. You don't have visual cues to assist you in telling the audience where you're at, but I suppose I found that in some ways it's easier to do than stage acting, because you can focus so purely on just what your voice is doing. You're not distracted by where you're moving or looking. I actually don't differentiate between Sheik and Zelda in my own mind. I think more of Sheik as still Zelda, but just putting on a disguise persona. Sheik's a costume that Zelda wears, rather than a different character per se. In terms of voice acting, though, I find myself pitching Sheik's voice a bit lower, and I'm imagining the character as being, a bit more butch, a bit masculine in stance and presence, and I find that thinking of her that way helps me to change the voice subtly to give a distinction between the two. I hadn't been particularly aware of the fandom surrounding Link and Zelda until I was looking into the character a bit, and it gets pretty full on out there. I really enjoyed the challenge of some of the more emotional scenes so far. Stuff like when Link's been wounded and Zelda's begging Roru to save him, thinking that he's going to die, and I find those sorts of scenes quite powerful to play. And as far as things yet to come, I guess I'm just enjoying reading each new script as it comes along. So, nice to meet you, and Happy New Year!